Good morning, everybody. I'm Tonya Maddox. I am the publisher of the Montrose Daily Press, and I am so honored to have in the MDP studios today Mr. Gene Lillard, who is running for sheriff. Gene, I am going to welcome you officially here in a second, but I would be completely remiss if I did not thank Elevate Fiber for being a sponsor of Montrose Matters and allowing us to bring these great, fun, and informative interviews. So thank you so much, Elevate Fiber. And now let's talk about the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Gene Lillard. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that.
So, I don't know if you guys can see this. There is a slight little scar, and I will tell you, I tried to take Gene and I lost. But no, there's a young man who had the honor of wrestling with his uncle today.
Yeah, that was my my grandson. And so my grandson, yeah. And this happened a couple days ago. He likes to wrestle, and his name is Tanner, and he's a wonderful young man. He's 6 years old, going on 15, so he's a joy. But I think he tried a little bit of an illegal move, and he kind of scratched me a little bit on the face. But
Tanner, watch out! Grandpa is tougher than he looks, you know. Now, in all seriousness, Gene, you've got a pretty strong campaign coming up here.
I do. I've been up and running and trying to make things work, and it's been very interesting. I've got a lot of overwhelming support from the community, and you can probably see that by my signs out and about around the county of Montrose. So I plan visits to Nuke, Colorado, and the West End, and meet with those folks coming up, as I do in Olathe on the 22nd. So I have a meet and greet on the 22nd in Olathe at the community hall.
Okay.
And that'll start at 4 o'clock in the evening, and probably get over at 8, and anybody that would like to stop by and chat with me about me running for sheriff for the up-and-coming campaign, I would love to have them there and talk to them. So.
Okay. At these meet and greets and when you're out, what is it that you want people to know about you and your platform for sheriff?
I think the main thing is just to let people know who I am and what I stand for, that I've been in the community for 42 years. I've been a police officer with Montrose for 42 years.
Wow.
So I know a lot of folks in the community, and it's a wonderful community. I can't say enough about Montrose and the community that I have served and worked in for the past almost a half a century. So
that's amazing.
It is. Time goes fast, but all in all, I think that's probably what I want to do is reach out to the people and talk to them. And if they have any questions of me, they're more than welcome to come in and talk to me anytime or call me. I've sent out letters and stuff to people that I think will probably support me and that type of stuff. But I've advertised my telephone number, and call me anytime, and that's kind of what I stand for. So,
Gene, what do you love the most about law enforcement?
I think it's the every day that you come to work, it's a different day, and probably working with the people too. The community is really good. And I've always said this, and I probably say it way too much, but the good always outweighs the bad. But we always want this to be a real good community, a safe community.
Right.
There's a lot of work that can be done to make it better, but it's all in all, it's still a very good place to live, as you well know. So.
I do. Well, I've enjoyed it. I've been here 11 months now, and we definitely call it home and consider Montrose our home. And we appreciate you and all the other, officers who help keep it safe.
Yes, we appreciate the support that we get from the community, which is remarkable. A lot of people will bring in cookies and baked goods and stuff. It doesn't help our waistline, but it.
Wait, maybe I'm in the wrong business here.
It definitely helps our demeanor. So yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break talking to Gene Lillard, who is running for sheriff, and we're going to talk about whether or not cookies and chocolate will, help them perform their duties a little better. Just kidding, Gene. But when we get back, I do want to talk about his most defining moment in law enforcement.
Here in the heart of beautiful western Colorado, known for its unrivaled outdoor recreation, bountiful harvests, and unparalleled quality of life, changes are being made. Elevate Fiber is transforming the way we work, live, and play by creating exciting new opportunities for local families and businesses. Are you ready?
And welcome back to Montrose Matters. In studio today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Gene Lillard, who is running for sheriff. And we've been talking snacks, and I know that the community wants to know how many donuts you all eat in a day, but is that even, are donuts your favorite?
We don't eat a lot of donuts, believe it or not, but the community does smother us with donuts every once in a while. So we've heard rumors that we're having another couple donut places coming into town. So
I heard that same rumor.
We'll have to try them out and see what happens. But I think probably the donut probably started with our firefighters giving us a bad time. So I'm not too sure, but we work really good with our firefighters and our other agencies, State Patrol.
Yes.
And really work good with them, but. They're our brothers in arms, and
there you go.
We all work together, but sometimes they rib us about firemen and our police officers and donuts, but we rib them and tell them that the reason that God made police officers was to save firefighters. So,
oh, I love it.
So it's kind of one of those deals. So.
Yeah, we need some good ribbing here.
We do, yeah.
So you might get some ribbing if you are elected to sheriff. You would be moving from being a city employee after 42 years to being a county employee. Are you ready for that ribbing?
I think it'll be all right. There's a lot of awful good folks that work in the county, and a lot of good people that work out there. And I'm looking forward to a change, and the time to change is now. And I'm prepared for that. I've given a lot of thought and waited a lot, and I'm ready for that transition. So
good. Well, you can't do what you have done over the past 42 years without having some scars, both literally and figuratively, as well as having some success stories. When you look back at your career, what are some of the meaningful success stories, or maybe some scars that have just stuck with you over the years?
I think what I really think about is as being a police officer, is reaching out and helping the community, helping an individual where we can actually turn them around. I've had people that I've helped get into counseling for a drug problem and basically turn their life around, in my opinion. And they've even told me that I saved their life.
Wow.
I've arrested people for driving under the influence of alcohol, and they have come up and shook my hand and said thank you for turning their life around, because sometimes that's what it does take for them to get slapped in the face and end up having to learn the hard way. So it does pan out, and that has been very rewarding for me in the past. So it truly has. So.
With so much negativity, following law enforcement over the last few years, one of the stories I like to tell people, and it's a very positive story that really changed my life and impacted my life. I was a young woman just in high school in Fort Worth, Texas, and I was driving to a local clothing store that I've been, several times. And a police officer stopped me. I pulled in to the parking lot of that store, and he said, "Ma'am, you made an illegal turn." And I said, "I've been doing this for years. The sign said I could make a left," and very respectful. And he says, "No, you didn't." He goes, "I'm going to let you go with a warning, but next time, please make sure that you follow the signs." And I said, "Yes, sir, of course." And I'm young and I'm scared, and I go into the clothing store to do my shopping. Do you know that 15 minutes later, that police officer came into that clothing store to find me? I was frightened out of my mind because, again, I'm young and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he's come back to give me a ticket. And he said, "You are absolutely right. I drove by that sign, and it did say you could take a left turn. I wanted you to know that we are not all just bad and mean and negative, and thank you for treating me with respect." I didn't know what to say other than thank you. And I wanted you to know, and every other, law enforcement out there, that we're on your side, and we appreciate you treating us with dignity and respect, because I know it's not easy with the type of people that you deal with.
It's not, but we are guys that work the street and in police work general are really usually quality, 100% good people. They really are, and their true meaning in life is to help people. They don't like to go out and look for trouble. They really don't. But if they see lawbreakers, they would like to take care of them and steer them down the right path.
Yes.
Whatever that might be. But all in all, the police officers I've been around in my 42 years have been above and beyond. There are some bad apples every now and then, but that's a crosscut of society, and that's what it's going to be. But there's a lot of good folks out there, and I've got a lot of good friends from Texas, some Texas Rangers that I met when I was going to Northwestern Traffic Staffing Command School in Houston. So,
right.
And my brother was a Houston Metro police officer for 10 years, so I'm near and dear to Texas, and they have a lot of good folks down there.
I think so. Well, when we're going to take a break, but I'm going to ask Mr. Lillard here if he knows the small town that I grew up in Texas. I think some of you know it's a funny name, but it is real. I grew up in White Settlement, Texas. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. All right, I'm here in the MDP studios with Gene Lillard, who is running for sheriff. And I caught Gene off guard with a question because he has family from Texas. If he has heard of my small town that I grew up in called White Settlement, Texas. Have you, Gene?
I have not, ma'am. No.
See, it's not even on his radar, and he has Texas roots. Listen, you're running for sheriff, and it's your second time that you're running.
That's correct, yeah.
This is something that you're passionate about. Tell us what we can expect from you if you are elected sheriff, and why you're so passionate about this position.
Okay, my reasons behind that is I can do a lot for the sheriff's department and the county of Montrose with my knowledge and my experience. I can help out a whole bunch with that stuff. I know that one of the major factors that we're dealing with here in Montrose and Montrose County is the drug problems that we're dealing with, the methamphetamine, the cocaine, and some of the illegal marijuana grows that are going on. A lot of this goes right back to some of the burglaries and the storage units that we've had broken into, the thefts. We get them daily. We get a lot of shoplifting that goes on at some of our big box stores and around town too, but a lot of it is basically tied right into the drug problem. So that's one thing I would like to hit head on, is addressing that more so. We do have a drug task force that is up and running, that is a combination of Montrose Police Department and Montrose County Sheriff's Office. And they're trying to keep the wolves away from the door. And it is a problem, and that's something I want to hit head on.
Okay.
I really do. And another thing I would like to see is a combined dispatch center, whereas is one standalone dispatch center.
Okay.
And I want to save the taxpayers a lot of money by doing this. I think that's very important. I think probably another thing that we need to work on too is training at the sheriff's office. Not saying that they are lacking in training, but I always see that there is always a need for that in law enforcement. We have to keep up with it and stay on it all the time. So we're mandated by the state of Colorado to do certain training that we have to do and keep up on it and make sure that it's documented. But I would like to serve our citizens by doing what I would call some community policing, where we're going out and trying to solve problems in the community and get the community to get behind law enforcement and help solve some of these problems, so our deputies or our police officers do not have to go back time after time after time to the same call to the same people.
Right.
We need to fix that. It saves money for the taxpayers, and it also is an officer safety issue for the police officers or deputies having to go back time after time. So I think that's very important, and I would like to see, if I'm elected as sheriff, as the deputies get out of their patrol car and walk over and talk to a farmer, shake his hands, and say, I'm here to help you out. We're here to serve the people, and that's what we do.
Gene, I had another question for you. I'm curious if people are attracted to law enforcement still, and if not, are there recruiting efforts that you all are doing or that you feel is important?
I think there probably are. We've had a good group that has recently came into the police department, so we've got 5 brand new police officers on the street right now that recently graduated from the academies throughout the Western Slope. But they're very, very good people, young ladies and young men that stepped up to the plate. They're getting into law enforcement at a time that is very controversial with what has gone on in our country. So, I don't think there's a lot of people as hungry to be a police officer as there used to be, but I think maybe the tide will change and we'll be getting that back. But all in all, we get very good people that come in, and it's important for an agency to put them through the best testing that they can, and we try to pick the absolute best people that are squeaky clean. What I would advise for applicants in the future is, if you ever think about doing drugs, don't do them. Stay away from that kind of stuff too, because a lot of it will end up eliminating you from the procedure. But it's very important to stay away from that. But all in all, we do get applicants, and I think it's important that we keep doing that, and we actively recruit to get new police officers to come on board. So it turns out pretty good all in all. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Gene Lillard, it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor. I would be remiss if I did not thank you for your 42 years of serving Montrose, and that you want to do this for, gosh, however long, much longer you can. We appreciate that as a community.
Thank you, ma'am. I still have gas in the tank. So. So thank you very much for letting me be here, and I appreciate it. So
you're very welcome. Everyone, Gene Lillard.